Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about the BRO 2022 Premium Meta-Analysis that happened on the weekend. Shout out to Fuzzy Paradox for providing with amazing pie charts again and again. Make sure you go follow him. His Twitter is in the description. This is as diverse as it can get. I'll tell you now, I don't think I've seen a pie chart with 8 different clans on it. I think the last time we had this was maybe just at the start when the big 5 or the big 6 decks got banned. So like Nueda, Gastille, and company got banned, and then that's when, you know, things started to spike up. But I don't think I've ever seen as much of a diversity as I can see here. So literally 8 different clans: Darker Eggs, Megas, Spikes, Bermuda, Pale Moon, Grand Blue, Aquaforce, OTT. Absolutely amazing. And funnily enough, there's actually supposed to be a Gear Chronicle here that was replaced by the Gridora because the Gear Chronicle player slept through the top 8. So yeah, as diverse as it can get, absolutely amazing. This is what we want to see. And I think this is also an indication to show that the meta is unsolved. What I mean by unsolved is that because there's been such a little gap between Springfest and BRO, there's not enough time for players to test. So to determine which decks are the best, we don't actually know. So which is why every single deck at the moment is quite viable, because people haven't had the knowledge or the experience with these other decks to say which one is actually better than others. But still, again, much respect to everybody bringing their favorite decks along. And again, we're going to jump into the top 4 of BRO. So first place was my boy from Canada, Steven, WCC Suo, an absolute beast. This guy ended up coming X1 in Swiss for AO, and then immediately jumped to EU and went undefeated first seed. Yeah, absolutely amazing player. So he played Highlander, so congratulations to him. And then Noto coming second with NLK Barrow. And I think with 4 facts from the Premium Collection or P-Clan Collection, this deck finally gets out of its mud after the Castile ban. So amazing to see DI, one of my favorite clans, coming second place. Third place, Nightmare Doll, ran by Darren Carney. And then fourth place was Yusei playing Rising Nova. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, the Rising Nova list runs the Dudley engine. So just running through quickly some of the decks that these players ran. So this is Steven playing your traditional Highlander list, nothing crazy. Really capitalizing on the new Stride Heltruda. And then, you know, slotting in the 2 new G-Guards. This G-Guard is absolutely insane. Gives +5 to the Vanguard if you just bounce your Kutia, which is pretty much a staple in all Highlander decks. So this deck is pretty cool, definitely want to try it. And yeah, second place was Noto's list, if it ever loads. Alright, there we go. Alright, Noto's list. So Noto's list, an NLK Barrow list, running Edge in the Darkness. I think this is for soul charging. And I think sometimes you can call this out using Barrow so that it countercharges and then you can 4-fax after it, which is pretty cool, because then you don't need to rely on like Selfish Engraver to CC, because as long as it's in Soul, then you can countercharge on your Barrow call and then, you know, put an Enigmatic Assassin behind it and then 4-fax. So that's pretty cool. Very cool list, running 3 of the new G-Guard. This G-Guard is actually really good, so I do see merit in running multiple copies of this. So yeah, very cool. Third place was your Nightmare Dolls, if it loads. There we go. Nightmare Dolls, this is as cookie cutter as it can get. Decided to run the 1 Chimera, and then everything else is just as it is. No Leontina. Definitely would swap maybe one of the Yvette for one Leontina, but otherwise this deck is just as it was for the last 3 seasons. And then fourth place was Rising Nova. This deck is actually surprisingly scary. So I think I played this in one of my Swiss rounds and I nearly died on grade 3 rides. So this deck is actually super scary. It just punches hard, multi-calls on grade 3, and then pretty much you follow up with a Galligabalus with the Mecha Instructor, and pretty much you're pretty much good to go. Multiple attacks on a Force 1 and a Force 2 marker combined. This deck is actually super duper scary. Runs the 1 Mikani for any, sniping of like Honolis that can stop your multi-attack. So yeah, this deck is actually really, really cool. Definitely a deck that I recommend people picking up and try it out. I think it looks pretty fun. And then jumping to EU. EU was not as diverse as AO. EU had a bit more Narakamis. EU generally is like the diverse region, but not so much this time. So as we can see, 3 Narakami. I think 2 of them are Vanquisher, 1 is Dungari, and then the 1 Bermuda Triangle is Sewer, again, the absolute beast. Dark Irregulars, Murakumo, Gear Chronicle, and Mega Colony. So I think the Murakumo was piloted by Nico, and then the Mega Colony was by Peter. And then jumping to top 4. So the first place is KG Sphinxtus. So this player ended up playing me in Swiss for round 3 or round 4, and hit a 6 damage OT and carried my legacy from Swiss all the way to first place. So congratulations Sphinxtus for coming first with one of the clans that I love, Dark Irregulars. Second place was Nico with Shiryuki. Third place was Muzrax with Mystery Flare Turbo. He ended up coming top 8 in AO, but then slept through top 8. So a little bit unfortunate, but maybe he just ended up going to sleep and recharged for EU instead. And then fourth place was Aya running Dungari, and if I'm not mistaken, Aya is actually an Australian player. So just looking at the list, a different variation slightly of the NLK Barrow list. This list runs the 1 Gastille and then the 1 Drag form, but otherwise everything else looks quite similar. Decided to run a 1-3 split of the heal and then more of the 5k Shirley draws for Soul Charge, but otherwise everything else looks pretty good. Second place was Nico's Shiryuki list. I think he's been hyping this up a lot, and it just shows that testing and the things that he does really pays off. Shiryuki is probably now one of the most threatening decks come into Premium, and I think it's going to be a threat as long as this card exists. As long as it has Shibaraku Victor face up, it can pretty much loot multiple times, reduce your opponent's Vanguard by 30k, 40k, and pretty much makes it practically unguardable on their kill turn. So really cool list. And then third place was the Mystery Flare. So this list is really cool. Only running 3 Chronojet and 4 Renovate Winged Dragon. I think I can kind of understand why you only run 3, because the Lost Gear Dog 8 pretty much serves as another copy of Jet, so you don't technically need to run 4, and then you can swap the 1 slot for the Time Jarrett Dragon, which sets up your double Mystery Flare, putting the Mystery Flare into Soul, blasting out the Jet, and then pretty much by the time that the Mystery Flare that you strode on disappears, the other one re-rise, so then you get a double extra turn, which is really cool. So very cool list. Much respect for Dave for bringing this list. I think he did end up bringing for Springfest, coming first place and then just showing that this deck is no joke. So really cool list. And then fourth place was Dungari running the Eradicator package of the Attacker and the Booster, so the 2 green guys, the Desert Gunners, and then Exterminate is just an insane card from P-Clan Collection. Yeah, nothing more to say there. This deck is probably going to be really good going into the next format as well, so definitely a deck to look out for. And then jumping to NA, we have very diverse. very diverse top cut. So 3 Bermuda, 2 of them being Highlander, 1 of them being Riviere, 2 Dimension Police, 2 Mega Colony, 2 Narus, 1 of them being a Vanquisher, 1 of them being an Eradicator, one or two Gear Chronicles, one of them being Mystery Flare Turbo and one of them being Steam Maidens. And then one Pale Moon, which is Nightmare Doll, one Genesis being Regalia, one Grand Blue, one OTT, and one Angel Gize. So very, very diverse cut. So many different decks impacting this meta, and absolutely amazing to see all of these decks being pretty much played as a comfort pick for everybody. And then congratulations to Megatrick for coming first place with Nightmare Doll. Second place was Fam with Riviere. Third place was Ares with Vanquisher. And then my boy from WCC, Toby Jones, coming fourth place with Eradicator. And then just looking at the list, very simple Nightmare Doll list. Runs the Amaranth Beast Tamer to put grade 3s into Soul. So it's pretty much a replacement for Ellen, where Ellen uses a Counterblast, whereas this one, just sucks a Rearguard into Soul. So I guess it's better to use this if you're prioritizing on the ride down early, because you don't use Counterblast, so you only ever need one, and then just another grade 3 on the Rearguard. So really, really cool, like little innovation there. Opted to run the Intersoul crit. Maybe the plus 2k might actually be quite impactful, especially because you're bumping this up to like 14, and if you hit triggers, it's like 24, 34, 44, hitting over force numbers. So I think the inclusion of this is actually quite relevant. And then the Stride Zone inclusion of Leontina, 2 of the Flexion Chimera. This card actually came up for me as well. Multiple times, so really cool to see that other people are also running multiple copies of this, and then everything else is just kind of a slot in for our boy Harry, who has sacrificed his life to the Shadow Realm. Wrong game. Alright, and then second place is Riviere. This is just your typical Riviere list. Jumps up with Selena, bashes you in the face. Really nothing else to say. You can go into Heltruda. Heltruda goes down to Riviere, and then Riviere can just reride, which is really cool. Third place was a Vanquisher list. Very straightforward, nothing crazy. Plays, I think it's 11 crit. Opting to run 4 and a stage of PGs. A very, very aggressive deck. And I think in this particular metagame, you kind of need to be aggressive. Especially if you are preparing for Nightmare Dolls. Nightmare Dolls is just pretty much a time bomb. So if you're aggroing them out of the game, I think that might be a way to beat them. And then fourth place is my boy Toby, WCC Play Around It. Runs a Rads with Esperadia being a multi-attacker, Chur being a multi-attacker, and then a bunch of Unrulies for denials, Sheriff for bind plays, and then Exterminate is a really, really good card. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this meta-analysis. I know this has been quite a trip for how diverse this meta is. So if you guys are looking to get into Premium, the best time is right now. Make sure you go to your locals, pick up P-Clan Collection 2022, amazing set for years to come. Comes with all the Stride crits that you need for your premium deck, and pretty much you can build any deck from scratch. So yeah, that's pretty much it for me this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.